Would you rather eat these beautiful, ripe tomatoes, or would you rather eat these dying, wilting, rotting tomatoes? Sick tomatoes that have purple dots all over them and hurt stuff. Or like these chickens. Is this what the kinds of eggs and meat that you want to have? Or do we want to have meat and eggs from healthy chickens? And this doesn't also apply only to us, obviously. This is just how it works in nature. And animals themselves will not eat very sick animals sometimes. Some animals like to eat rotten things, but in general, if it's bad enough, nobody's gonna eat it. And we know that as well. That's why when you go to stores, we always have ripe, amazing looking things, and we remove the stuff that we looks unhealthy themselves. So, what is food? Is food just words that you go by it? It just says ground beef or beet, and it's just the same. You know, it says ground beef in this store. It says ground beef in the other store. It's all the same. Or when we actually look at it, when we take this beet, for example, this small beet, how does it make this leaves and grow in order to become this big beet that we then want to eat with all its greens and all the root juices and everything? Well, the beet is when you zoom into the actual plant, you see that they have cells, and the cell is alive. It's metabolizing, and inside the cell there is a nucleus. And this nucleus has the genetic code with the DNA and the RNA and the chromosomes and everything, and it is has information particular to its genetic code that tells it what it needs in order to grow the way it needs. And so every life has kind of something like this. You know, we have this for us, but it's kind of pretty general, and it doesn't cover all the different kinds of nutrients or vitamins or antioxidants and different things that we need. But it's something very general, and it doesn't apply to most people because they have different needs, but it's an average thing for the population. And plants have something like this as well. When the beet is in the ground, it needs a certain amount of iron and molybdenum or vitamin K or thiamine or vitamin C or copper or chromium or phosphorus or whatever it needs. It needs all these things in different ratios based on what it is. And that's what allows it to be as good as it could possibly be. Now, for it to grow, you cannot plant it in soil that is completely barren, that only has silicone and some clay and some sand. Like, it needs minerals, it needs life, it needs everything, these vitamins and stuff, which only come from life. It needs like actual life. So that's why we don't plant in these desertified places. We make compost or manure, which is digested food and has bacteria and everything in it, soil nutrients, you know, which is taken from the soil with all the worms and everything in it, which help digest and make available all the things in it. And this soil is incredible to grow things in. And farms fight to have better places and better soil and stuff like this sometimes. So, what is in the soil is what the plant is eating. It is converting the soil into itself through its DNA process. It's literally taking in and excreting out stuff and doing the same thing we do and building itself out of that. And so that's for food. And then there's also something called stress. So we don't also only need food. A human being, which we are, doesn't only need to eat right and drink water. We also have something called, we need a certain kind of social environment to function properly. Uh, Stress and being hurt and abused is a physical thing. It's not just like some abstract concept that we feel, but it changes how our heart beats, it changes how our metabolism happens, it changes how our hormones are functioning, how our sexuality is responding, how we grow or stop growing or have health problems, and all these types of things. And the mental health and stress is extremely important. And so, when you have people that are isolated, feel depressed and lonely, you have people that are in isolation prison. They get abused and hurt. If you have people that have grown around people that all they get is shame and criticism and abuse and a very toxic kind of environment that is just giving them everything negative, just pain, stress, you're ugly, you're horrible, you're stupid, you suck, you're worthless, you're nobody, you can't do anything, we don't like you. This creates very, very, very hurt people that are not very healthy. They don't breathe nice, their heart isn't beating nice, their sexuality doesn't work properly, their everything is off when people go through extreme abuse. So people also have a need for support. These people are going to be healthier. Their digestion is going to work better. Their hormones are going to work better. Their breathing is going to be better. Their heart and organs are going to function better when there is support and love and health and friendship. When you really like your company and there's real love and an actual support and people trying to be positive and go somewhere beautiful together, that's something we need. That's why we structure laws and ways of dealing with each other and how to be nice, and we say good morning and we like to say I love you and thank you and all these things because we like them and they help us. It's not just like something floating in the air. It's actually something inside of us, physical, that makes up who we are, physically, just like the food we eat. And so, in nature, they also have these relationships, obviously. Nature doesn't just grow by itself in some random place, a flower, but they have relationships. And that's why we always see them together. In forests or gardens or farms or something, usually they're growing together because they also have relationships, and when they grow they're not only growing by themselves, there's also this whole ecosystem, first above the ground with insects and different animals and us and everything that comes to pick the fruit or touch the flowers or rub their back on the tree or whatever is happening. And imagine being this open flower and the bee comes in and is like playing with you and you're like everything, and it feels good. The flower likes when the bees are there. That's what supports it. It feels like it's a good flower. It feels like, yeah, I'm nice, I'm a great flower. If you're just sitting there opening your flower and everything and nobody comes, it feels like, oh, what am I here for? Maybe flowers don't think like this, like people, but they have some experience as well. They're also sensitive, and they're not just above the ground where we see all these relationships. The tall trees supporting the smaller bushes, and the smaller bushes supporting the little grasses under them, and all of them having a relationship ecosystem with each other that is the best. When you walk in forests, you always see them working together. And that's how they become better. That's if they just grew by themselves, they wouldn't have this. They push themselves to be better, and they push each other to be better. And there's also this stuff happening underground through what is called mycelium, the root system of the fungi underground, which is like our internet almost. There's all these connections underground interconnected with the roots of the plants that transport between each other all kinds of things. So if you have plants that get sunlight and plants that only get the shadow, they through their roots, through the fungi in the ground, they start to play like a support game. One of them gives the other what it needs, and not just in terms of nutrients, but also in terms of heat. So if they're cold, when one of them is cold and the other one's warm, they spread it, they share it through the mycelium. They share the enzymes and the energy needed to create heat, and they support each other with heat and staying warm, not freezing. And so, in order for us to have the harmony that we would like to have inside ourselves, we have to eat the plants and the animals that are the healthiest. And we already know it. And they are the healthiest when they are in their best environments. When they are supported physically through great soil and through having the recommended intakes for what they need, and also by having the right relationships that they need, whether it's with bees or with mushrooms or with mycelium or with different plants. And that's what they need, just like we need it. And so that's it. I don't see how you could say this is wrong. Like, I don't understand how it would work to say that it's better to eat things that are unhealthy, that are bad, that don't get what they need. Like, how could that make sense? We all support each other. If we want to be at our best, we have to not go here to the right. We have to go to the left. Ecosystem support, and that works better through traditional farming methods, not just the rows of corn in a place and put some fertilizer on it and pray for the best. Chemical fertilizer that only has like 3 nutrients in it instead of compost that has everything. And that's my idea about food. We are not just what we eat eats, but we are what we eat lives. Because it's a whole life, it's a whole dynamic thing that they have. Just like we react to stress, they're all reacting to stress. Just like we react to friends, they react to friends. Just like we react to love, they react to love. We're the same. We're all just alive here, and we all have the same stuff. It's really not that complicated.